Hey guys, welcome back to another game review for the channel. This next one is going to be Attack on Titan. I believe it has like another part of a title, but it's not on my cover. So mine only says Attack on Titan, so I can't remember what the other name is. So we're just going to leave it at that. This game came out, I believe, in 2016. So it's been out for quite a bit of time. I'm not sure when the second one came out. It was probably more like 2018, 2019. And then the third one never came out, I don't think, it's not really a disc option. It's like a downloadable code that you add on to the second disc. So I currently have technically all three, but I've only played this first one. And so what you're seeing here is obviously, once again, gameplay of mine from when I did this earlier on in the year. So, first category, interest value. The case itself, to me, is very intriguing. As someone who just got into Attack on Titan right before I played this game, I would have recognized it almost immediately. So any fan would easily recognize it. The cover has the title in big, bold lettering. It has the head of the Colossal Titan, and then below that it shows the backs of, it looks like, Eren, Armin, and one or two other scouts, but I can't tell who they are. And overall, I think the cover front is very eye-catching. I think it would definitely catch a lot of people's eyes just because of the contrast of the colors and the big bold lettering of the title. However, if you don't recognize the series or you're not into anime, you would probably look it over and think, oh my gosh, what is that thing? Or it looks like you're fighting a giant corpse, almost. But the back is also, it's very small, but it does give quite a bit of detail and does show some pictures from the game itself. Some of the characters, some of the titans. But the back says, a titanic struggle for survival. And then below that, it states, relive the groundbreaking tale of Attack on Titan's first season. Play as fan favorite scouts Eren, Mikasa, Armin, Levi, and more. Traverse the environment with the omnidirectional mobility gear. Attack and defeat overwhelmingly powerful titans. Join the Survey Corps and go beyond the wall with your team. And it also does tell you that the game only features Japanese voices. You could have subtitles, obviously, that you can see in the video, but you cannot get it to speak in English. It is only in Japanese. Which, to me, isn't that bad. Yeah, it means you have to pay attention. It's almost like watching anime with English subtitles. But, to me, it feels more authentic to the series, considering they set it up this way. So I kind of like it this way. The game is one player. However, if you go into live, you can have up to 4 players all working together. I did not do that, as my husband and I can only share one system. So we can't do the co-op part. You have to be on separate consoles or PCs to do that. But, however, I really did like the case, so I gave it a 9 out of 10 for that. The ease of control. I kind of went back and forth on what to score this one. As you can see, this very first mission, it goes step by step into how you use the gear. It may seem like a lot of buttons, but compared to a lot of games, it really was not that bad. They're pretty easy once you start practicing over and over and over again. And considering you use them for the whole entire game, they're easy to get after going through multiple missions in a row. It's not like you learn these and then you don't use them that often. You use this every single time you play. I mean, it's the only way you can move around. You can change them in the main menu, so that is a plus. If you don't like the way the buttons are set up, I think you can customize almost every single one to the way you like. But they have one button for movement, one for camera angle. You have one to shoot your anchors, another for the gas, another for cutting. There's quite a few. But they're pretty easy to get once you've been practicing for a while. So I did decide to dock a point just because for some people, like my husband in particular, had a really rough time trying to get the controls down. Some you have to click at the same exact time to get the movement correct, and some you have to let go at the right time and it does something different. So I decided to give it a 9 out of 10 for that. The graphics, depending on the person, you may not like these graphics or you may actually really enjoy them. It really depends on your thoughts towards anime, in my opinion. They have very animated graphics, like you're watching the anime itself. It's not very real or lifelike compared to when I played Resident Evil or Little Hope. This is completely different. It's very animated, like the style of Japanese. So I liked that. It stayed true to the series itself instead of making it really realistic. So I actually appreciated that. It's very colorful. It's bright. Everything was really easy to see. And you could change the brightness, the darkness if you wanted to. So you always had that option. So I gave it a 10 out of 10 based on those. Now, Freedom, this was one of the few games I've played where you had tons of freedom. It's almost like a Minecraft game, sort of. There is a storyline to this game that you follow. There's missions to do, but after every mission you can stop and redo your previous one, or you can move about and do other things. You weren't stuck going from mission to mission to mission, and you only progressed in the game if you completed a mission and unlocked the next one. And they progressively got harder the farther you got in the game. So the missions started out really easy and then worked themselves up to near impossible by the end of the game, depending on the difficulty you picked. The freedom I'm talking about is not only that, but you also had the ability to go back to base camp, no matter what mission you were on, and you could always upgrade weapons and upgrade your gear. You could change outfits, and if you were at the main camp, you were given the ability to go back and replay missions you've already completed if you wanted to get a better score. You could go on these things called survey missions to get extra product to upgrade your ODM gear. And there was also expeditions you could go on that was completely separate. It gave you these options more so if you wanted to 100% complete platinum the game, I guess, or to get more product for upgrades, but it wasn't something you had to do. The storyline was really the only part that was required, but these other things were nice to do as it gave you a break away from the main story. Yes, it's still kind of the same thing over and over and over. You fight titans, you get people on your team, you get product, and you upgrade. But every mission was different. There were none that were exactly the same. And some of them that had bosses at the end, most of the bosses were different. So there was tons of freedom to this game, and those are the kind of games that I really enjoy personally. So I decided to give it a 10 out of 10 for freedom. Now, game story, I know I touched on this a little bit already. It has a great game story. It pretty much aligns perfectly with the very first season of Attack on Titan, if you've ever seen it. If you haven't seen it and you play this game, I think it's pretty easy to understand the game story. They give it to you in a way that's not too hard to comprehend. I like how they gave you the little bit of story at the beginning and explained what was going on and who you are and what your purpose is. But if you have seen the anime, then it's almost like a refresher. You almost go through exactly frame by frame what you watched in the anime. You play through almost everything. There is a little bit at the end of the game that is more so from the second season, but it's something that has to be unlocked. There's I don't want to call it a secret, but a secret second story mode that's not as long. It's only maybe 4 or 5 missions, but you cannot get it unless you unlock it by completing the game, and you had to complete certain survey missions with a specific rank in order to unlock it. So you have to work for it if you actually want it. So for game story, I decided to do a 10 out of 10. Especially for fans of the anime, I think we would totally love the story behind this. Extras, there are tons of extras during and after the game. You can upgrade weapons, you can unlock different kinds of costumes for all the characters, you can redo past missions. Like I just explained, there's an extra story at the end. There's achievements for your console or your PC, however you're playing. But there's also achievements within the game themselves by upgrading certain weapons, unlocking all the horses to buy, unlocking all the characters. And there's also extra missions at the end, and every single one is replayable. So if you get a score that you don't like, or if you want more of that product that you can win at the end of the mission, you can always redo them. There is a ton of things to do. I completed the game it took me a while to complete the game. However, with all the extras, you could spend hours upon hours playing this game. It could be never ending, almost like a Minecraft. There's always weapons to upgrade. I think there's like 70 different weapons you can make and 70 different gas canister upgrades. And then also your ODM gear has its own upgrades as well, plus costumes and missions. And if it takes you a while to complete it, then that's even more to do. Plus on top of that, you can play, I think it's about 10 different characters, and once you do beat the game, they give you I can't even think of the mode it's called. It's like, it's past the realm of difficulty that I like. So within the game you can play like casual. There's either 2 or 3 different levels of difficulty for it. And this other one, I can't remember the mode it's called, but you have to go back to the main menu, and basically it starts you over from the beginning of the game, but you have to play basically on impossible mode if you want to platinum the game, which is something I am currently working on, and I'm getting close to the end, but it is a difficulty beyond hell. It is super hard. You have to have lots of upgraded weapons to even barely pass some of the missions. So that's another thing you can work on. So there's tons of gameplay for this. So in terms of extras, I definitely thought it deserved a 10 out of 10. Now, time in the game, as I was explaining, there's tons of game time, tons of things to do. There's got to be at least 15 plus hours of the game if you do the story, the extra story, the harder mode, if you try to get the achievements, if you do the survey missions. Plus there's request missions at the end of the game. You get to talk to all the characters in the game, and they have requests for you, like go to this particular mission and defeat this many titans or get this many product, things like that. So there's also those. So in terms of game time, it was well over 10 hours. So I gave that a score of a 10 out of 10. Replayability, I do think that this game definitely has replayability if you so want to. There's no DLCs added to the game. There's extra costumes I think that you can buy for specific characters, but there's no DLCs. There was that extended story mode at the end, and you could go back and replay different missions. However, depending on the type of person, you may not appreciate the replayability, as you may get bored of the constant mission after mission after mission type of gameplay. So it's a hard game to grind. It gets very slow and repetitive very fast. So I docked it a point for that and decided on a 9 out of 10. Now, price. This game, if you want a physical copy or even a digital copy right now, they are super hard to find. And in talking this over with my sister, who has been a hardcore fan of this anime for a long time, we basically think it's due to the new season came out this past year, and of course that not only brought out the old fans, but it also made new fans who may not have been fans from the beginning. So people like me and my husband who had never seen this before this past season, and of course we went and watched everything, and now we're huge fans of it. So every copy that was around got immediately snagged, and a game that's been out for 4 or 5 years already, I mean, it's already hard enough to find as it is. So taking that into account, some of the prices, you're looking up between $60 and $100 to get a copy of this game, which is quite ridiculous, but I mean, it is what it is. But if you're a hardcore fan of this series, or if you really want to play this game, to you it may be worth that amount of money. I think I paid $50 for my copy, and it was used. But thankfully, the person selling it was honest enough to say that, you know, there was a scratch or two and it had been used, and I played it right away to make sure it worked, and it worked like a charm. So I'm very thankful to the person I bought it from. But even the digital copy codes are hard to find for this game as well. Not to mention how hard it is to now find the second and the third one. I'm not going to get into that until I have to do the review for that game. But the price, if you're willing to pay it, it is definitely worth it for fans. But for someone off the block that just sees the game and doesn't know if it's going to be good or not, I guarantee you they're not going to think it's worth the price. But for being a fan and knowing what it's worth, I gave it a 10 out of 10. I think it's definitely worth it. Now, my personal score, if I could score higher than a 10, I totally would. And it may sound really prejudiced, but I completely loved this game. After watching the anime and becoming a new fan, I totally geeked out while playing this. You guys heard it as I played. I loved this game. Yes, there were parts of it that I didn't enjoy, but overall, it was a really great game. Gave you in-depth information into the anime. It made you feel like you were in the anime yourself, even though you're playing the other characters. There's tons of gameplay, the replayability, the amount of characters that you get to play. You don't get to play everybody, but the ones that they do allow you to play were really fun. You got to play as Eren, Mikasa, Armin, which are the top 3. You get to play as Emir, as I can't think of her name. The blonde Krista. You get to play as Connie, Sasha, and Jean. And then you also unlock Levi and Erwin and Hanji. So there's 10 or 11 characters that you get to play. And they all have different strengths, different weaknesses, different play styles, different abilities that you can unlock. So they're all different. And they're all different heights and things like that. So they all move differently. So depending on the mission you're playing, you could use a different person. Or you could use one that you like. So it's all up to you and how you play. But it is so much fun. I totally recommend this game, not only for fans, but anybody that's ever questioned whether or not they would like this game. I definitely would give it a try. But adding up all the categories, I ended up with the highest score I've had yet for rating a game, which was a 97, which is an A-ranked game. And I definitely think it deserved that rank. It is a fantastic game, you guys. If you could get your hands on it and play it, you would probably become a fan of the series. It is amazing, and I cannot wait to play the second one. It's on my wheel of games, so eventually we're going to get to play it, along with the third one. So I cannot wait to get to that point. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Stay tuned. Within the next couple days, I will have my review for Resident Evil 8 out, and then I will be all caught up on reviews until I finish The Evil Within. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I will see you all in the next one. Bye, guys.